Good morning, everybody. This is Mark Tanner, mindset and business architect from Strategy and Conversions, completing this series now today talking about Gremlin number 5. So I've talked about the other 4 gremlins on past videos, and today this gremlin I want to speak to is one that's very, very seldom known by people, but has really wrecked me in the past and stopped me achieving goals. And this gremlin is called Stasis. So I came across this little gremlin quite a well. Actually, it's been around with me for a long time, but I only actually realized what it was a couple of years ago. This gremlin wants to keep the status quo, wants you to keep stay where you are. As with all these gremlins, it wants to keep you small. It wants to keep you in that comfort bubble. It doesn't want you to get out of that. You could say it's trying to protect you, but it certainly isn't for me. And it stays where you are. Now, where you are may be different to other people. Some, from all sorts of things that have happened in your lives. But often what happens is that it keeps you where you are at a particular time. So let me just give you an example of what happened to me. So I had my life as a whole was going on pretty well. My relationships and personal relationships were doing well. I had my health as well. Talk about that in a second. My health was okay, so I thought. And finances were okay. The business was going all right, but it wasn't actually going as well as I wanted it to. And then I started to do something about it. So I thought, right, okay, I want to change the way I do things. So I had a business. I started setting up another business, which actually was this one, starting to set up another business with Jamie. And then, bang, I had a heart attack. Came out of the blue. I thought I was really healthy. I thought I was fine. And then one night, none of the classic symptoms at all. But I was told the following day that I had a heart attack. I won't go into that because it takes it's a bit of a long story. And I was in hospital for 5 days. Eventually came out. I had diabetes and as well, and I was on multiple tablets. And I didn't realize at the time, but this was Stasis. It's a very, very horrible gremlin, and I didn't realize that the steps that Stasis would take to keep the status quo. It didn't want me to grow. I had a business already, which is doing okay. I wanted to expand that. It didn't want me to burst out of this comfort balloon. So anyway, I know enough. I'm self-aware enough now to understand what I needed to do. So I still didn't understand what it was. I just thought, okay, this is a period in my life I need to change it around. So I started working on my health and doing a lot of rehab, reversed my diabetes, but my heart condition is still around. I had stents put in, but it's still something that could happen again. Albeit unlikely, but it's there. And then I found that the business started to pick up and started to go well, but there was still this whole thing around my personal finances were not doing as well as I realized, and I couldn't get into the consistency part of putting real effort into things. So all other parts of my life are going well, and then apart from this one area of my own sort of personal finances, I suppose, and having different income streams just wasn't working very well. So the finance area of my life was not going as I wanted to. And then I realized, doing a lot of journaling, doing a lot of real self-reflection, and a lot of just education from self-development and different books I read, I realized I had this huge limiting belief around the fact that there's this paradigm set of beliefs. A paradigm is a set of beliefs that we've picked up. This huge belief that made me think I was too old to change. So I'm 63. When I was in my, I remember my grandfather. I was in my house with my grandmother, grandfather. He'd been made redundant. He was 58. This was back in the 70s, and his reaction was, "Oh, I'm too old. I'm too old now. I'm not going to be employed by anybody," and he didn't get a job. So I had this straight in my head. I respected them, and that's kind of a message that I got. And then when I was growing up, the retirement age, people retire from the jobs, was 60. Now I know it's moved up in the UK, but it was always, that was when you were considered, you stop work, you retire, you're old. Back in the day when I was growing up in the late 60s and 70s, people of 60, 65 were considered old. So all this was drilled into me time and time again. So this huge set of beliefs, I suddenly realized I had it, was that I was too old to change. I was too old to make a difference. But where's the evidence? There was no evidence that I was too old. I think it was this Colonel Sanders who actually didn't start his Kentucky Fried Chicken business till he was 75. So all of a sudden, there's evidence which I need to find and realize. There's evidence that far older people than me have put in masses of amount of energy and being able to change their business. So the kind of a heart attack was telling me no, and then this whole I couldn't get this part of me. Part of my life working properly until I realized this, and now things are already, believe it or not, starting to change. So stasis is a gremlin that people don't realize is there. In fact, very, very few books that I've ever read come across this whole thing that holds you down. And there's one book that I've read by a guy called Gay Hendricks, and it's called The Big Leap, and it talks all about this whole gremlin. Although it doesn't call it stasis, it calls it I can't remember exactly it calls it now, but that's definitely worth a read. The Big Leap. But it is stasis that keeps you in this position, and really can be horribly debilitating, and actually cause you to have all sorts of ailments, and illnesses can come along, because that's its way of telling you that no, you are too old, you can't manage this, you can't do this, or whatever that limiting belief is. That if you have a chronic illness, that people with your kind of chronic illness, like say MS or ME or all these other these chronic illnesses, say, well, someone like you haven't got the energy to do this. If you've got any kind of impaired ability, again, this stasis says, you couldn't do that, you couldn't do that. And yet look at the Paralympics and look at the people who achieve massive things. Of course you can. And just because you have a particular ailment or condition, it just means that you're coming from a different fate, a different part of life. Doesn't mean say you're any different inside of how you feel. So the solution for stasis is actually a little harder, I would say, probably harder than the other gremlins. So it comes down to really self-development and reading and becoming aware. I wasn't aware that this thing was holding me back. I wasn't aware of my paradigm and set of beliefs about not having any energy when I'm older. I can't make it now because I'm too old. That kind of that I wasn't aware of that until I really, really spent the time reflecting on my own beliefs, and thoughts. So when a thought comes up to my head now, I stop down and think. I journal it. I journal about it. Think, right, why have I suddenly come up with that thought? What makes me think that? And then really dig down and start asking, well, why do I think that way? And you get an answer. So why do I think that? Get another answer. Well, why do I think that? And keep asking yourself why, peeling back all the layers of that onion until you realize that the onion just disappears. Once you peel back all the layers, it's just not there. So you think that actually that's rubbish. Of course you can at 63. You can have as much energy as anybody else. It might require a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but yeah, of course you can replace it. Diet, exercise, yeah, a little bit of maybe resistance training brings energy into your life. It's quite simple. But this is the solution. If you stay where you are from a point of view, you don't develop yourself, and you don't start reading, and you don't look for inspiration and other things, and don't make yourself aware of people who have. So in my case, I became aware of people who are older than me and have really made a difference in their lives. So that gave me the inspiration to think, well, actually, I can. So again, if you have a particular illness or particular impairment, whatever, read about people who have the same impairment, who've done something great with their lives, because that will be the inspiration that you need, that will help you to move on. And recognize that stasis is always going to try and hold you back. Again, stasis will, at different levels of life that you move into, will always try and hold you back, unfortunately. But just recognize it's there, and kind of work through it. Once you recognize it's there and you change your setup, and you recognize it, and you know that actually I can do this at my age, I can do that, things can be avoided. So for example, the heart attack, you think, oh, that can't possibly avoid it. It actually could have been avoided, because I know that in my early days, I abused my body so much with alcohol and smoking and stuff like that, that yes, it was weighted out. My diet was pretty poor. I didn't exercise enough, even up until the time I had the heart attack. I had to stop exercising. I had to stop going for walks and that kind of stuff. So now my lifestyle has changed. I'm walking. I'm doing some resistance training. I'm meditating. I'm journaling. I'm doing all these things, reflecting on my own thoughts, and making sure I'm not working too hard, not stressing about stuff. Which is going back to previous videos, you'll see that these are all down to different gremlins as well. And once you get that kind of a different level of awareness or enlightenment, then you can manage stasis quite comfortably, and you can put stasis, again, like with all gremlins, put them back in their cages and keep them there. And just be wary, and just be alert that they're always going to be around. They're always going to be trying to hold you back, but you have the modify your lifestyle, especially for stasis. Modify your lifestyle, modify your beliefs, get inspiration from reading. You can't read enough, in my opinion. Reflect on your own inner thoughts and your beliefs and where they came from, and you will put stasis away. You'll keep it under wraps for the rest of your life if you do it correctly. You can never kill it. You can never get rid of that gremlin, but it's always there. But you can actually subdue it right down, so it's not impacting your life in any way. So anyway, that's the end of this video about gremlin number 5, stasis, and that's the end of this little series of the 5 gremlins that stop you achieving your goals, which I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've got something from them, and understand more about those gremlins that are holding you back, and how better you can think about achieving your own goals that you set, and changing your life in the way that you want your life to go. So that's me, Mark Tanner. I shall see you soon. I'm going to do another little video just to summarize the whole thing, probably in another couple of days or so. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.